Okay, so this is, do you guys need a minute to get set up? Or you just want to watch? Anybody?
I'm all set up already.
Awesome.
I'm ready.
You're ready. Ready. Okay, great. So this is real simple. So in your kit, you're gonna find this this template, right? And we're gonna cut out the bottom portion of it. We don't want to lose it because we are going to use it, but we're going to just do 4 tiles that size. Honestly, to me, it doesn't matter what size the tiles are. So you could use this template, or you could just measure out a square. Like, to me, it's not that important. But this seems like a manageable size, and it's already there, so I figured we'd just use it, right? So I have that. From my clay, I'm going to just cut off a hunk. The next question too, like, I really do need to talk to y'all. Maybe you can message me if you need new clay or different clay, or there's stuff with your clay, because some of your clays might have dried a bit. We can fix that. Some of you might have used it on like individual projects outside of the school, and so then you're don't have as much. But we can set up, I can just, if you email me about your clay issues, I can even put clay outside for you just to pick up another bag, right? But I'm going to use the white clay in my kit, and I'm just cutting off a hunk about, I don't know, that's about a 1/4 inch thick. And I'm going to use these 2 sticks, these paint stir sticks that came on either side, that came in your kit on either side of the slab. And I just need to like make this slab thinner. So I'm going to roll it out with my rolling pin. But before I do that, I'm going to stretch it. And I stretch it by just turning it over, and I'm throwing it on an angle like that, and it stretches it out. It's like pre-rolling it. So once I've got it stretched out a bit, I'm going to roll from the center out. I got to make sure that these are close enough to the edge that my rolling pin will hit on them. So if you have a smaller rolling pin than I do. And when I'm rolling a big slab like this, and it has a lot of moisture in it, I need to pick it up and move it a couple of times. So I flip it over and I roll again, and you're like, well, why are you doing that? And I'm doing that because it helps it not stick to the board. It helps it make sure it's even. I can't see because my glasses are fogged up. There we go. Well, anyway, now it's nice and even. I'm gonna, I made some wrinkles in it while I was working. So I'm gonna take my metal rib and just kind of smooth the surface off. Like that. The good thing about drywall compared to other surfaces is that it will leave a smooth surface. I am going to flip it over and smooth out the other side. It's kind of unnecessary, but I really like a smooth. I mean, it's just like, it's like those attention to details are the things that, you know, make the difference in your final product. Okay. So now I'm cutting 4 tiles. Doesn't matter what I cut with. I know you're not keeping up with me. It's okay. I'm going to take a break in a minute and you'll give you a chance to get caught up to where I'm at. Okay? I only need 4, but I'm going to make a few more just because I have extra classes and just because. So I'm just tracing this, and I'm making sure, the one thing I do when I'm cutting a slab is I make sure that I'm not holding the tool crooked. If I hold it like this, my slab won't be even. If I hold it straight up and down, the edge of my slab will be perfectly 90 degrees, and that's what I want it to be. You know, so there's a little trick to this that, like, you know, you make sure you're holding it in the right angle. And not warping your slab. Okay, so I made 6. You only need 4, but I had extra clay, and why not? So I'm gonna, without moving the tiles, I'm going to take the excess clay around it off and put it back in my bag to store because it's still good clay. So I'm just cutting around it, removing without moving those slabs, because if I move them now before they're leather hard, they're gonna warp. And I don't want them to warp. I want them to stay nice and square. And that. So now like you guys at home, I'm gonna let these sit. I'm not even gonna mess with that stuff and be, well, if I can. I shouldn't because I'll warp it. So if there's like a little extra in between them, I'm just gonna leave it. I said that I was going to leave it, and I will. But this clay, I'm going to mush back up into a ball and put it back in my bag and close my bag. Because now this clay is going to get leather hard. And that, unfortunately, today is going to take a hair dryer or some time because of the massive amount of rain we just received. Right? So, why don't you guys take a moment and get caught up to where I am in this process? Okay? And in a minute, I will show you just glazing 3 layers. It's pretty easy. Do you guys have any questions so far? Oops, I see it. I can't read. Hold on, let me see. Put on my glasses. The left template on my sheet. Forgot my the left template sheet at my other home. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. So you can use any measurement, Emma. You could just make a square that's 2 inches by 3 inches. You could just, it doesn't matter. This one, if I look on it, is the base of this is 3 inches by 3 inches. So just so you know, this measurement is 3 inches by 3 inches. but it could be really anything. And if it's not perfectly square, it's okay, but this is just practicing making slabs. And like I said, the important part is making a slab is getting an even rolled out slab so that it's not thicker in the center and thinner on the edges. And that really comes from using these sticks. And also not moving them after you've made them. Like once you've made them and cut them, letting them stay where they are until they're leather hard so that you do not warp them. That's the other big lesson here. So that's kind of what I want you to get from first making your tiles is just like, okay, I can roll an even slab and I can cut the shape and let it sit until it's ready to move, which takes patience. So do the best you can. And I'm going to force mine dry with a hairdryer now. So this is going to be loud for a minute. This is a heat gun hairdryer. You guys have plenty of time at home to not force yours dry. You could just let it dry naturally if you like. But I'm trying to rush so I can get it all in this video. And it does take a minute, and it does take a little bit of practice to roll out an even slab. So I'm going to remove the excess here in between now that it's a little harder. It's still not leather hard. You can tell, like it's still squishy, but it's getting closer. That heat gun really does, or a hair dryer or whatever, really does kind of speed things along. Okay, so I'm going to focus on one and just show you how to finish the rest of them off. And it'll be pretty quick from here. I'm going to just rush it. So I flipped it, and that's because it was already pretty leather hard. These ones, they're not ready yet. This one I'm flipping, and I'm heating again, just because I'm pushing the speed of leather hard on this. And I can tell it's already getting hard and stiff. Now yours is going to take a lot longer, unless you use a hair dryer or a is leather hard. I can hold it like this and it doesn't warp. it's ready to go. I'm going to find the smoothest side, which I think is this side, and that's the side I'm going to use. Before I start glazing, I'm going to put some of that paper underneath here, so that paper resist that came in your, any scrap paper really. So I'm just going to put some scrap paper underneath this because I'm going to be a messy glazer. Okay? But it's leather hard now, and now I'm going to just use my black underglaze. I'm going to mix it up, making sure the top's on real good before I mix. And I'm going to just paint. I don't have the same brushes you have here, but this one is closest. I'm going to use the wider of the brushes, and I'm going to just start to paint on that underglaze. I have to paint on 4 to 5 coats, 3 to 5 coats, excuse me, and it has to dry in between. So again, I'm going to push it, making this go fast so that you could let it dry naturally and do all of yours, but I'm going to go fast. It's kind of cheating, because if I dry it fast like this, if I don't let it dry naturally, it does kind of warp the tile a bit. It can. So there's coat 2, and you can see it gradually. Do you see that I'm not putting on thick coats? See, once it doesn't look glossy anymore, I know it's ready. Now I'm going to put on the 3rd coat, and I'm starting to get full coverage. Did you notice how I brush in different directions to make sure that I'm getting not a streaky look? Okay. That was 3 thin coats, so I'm going to do more because I can see the clay through mine. So I'm going to do a 4th, and plus I'm rushing it. You should go slower than me. I'm going to do a 5th coat just because I've done very thin coats. These are very thin coats. They're not thick. If you do thicker coats, you do less. Okay? And you can kind of see the surface change colors as it dries. And like right now, if I touch it, there's not going to be any, you want to touch it with clean hands. There's not going to be any paint glaze transferring to my fingers. So now I know that this tile could be stored, right, until I'm ready to carve it on Monday. So I have to do that with all of these. These are not dry yet, so I'm going to let them sit there. They would naturally dry to leather hard, and then I glaze them. When you add glaze, they become wet again, so then they have to dry again until that touch surface. Now to store them, I need a clean bag. So you need a clean garbage bag. Meaning clean, meaning it doesn't have any clay on it. So, let's see if I can find one here. So I found one here. It's just a clean kitchen bag. And what I would do to store this is lay it out on my slab, and on my drywall rather, and I would just lay this in here and wrap it up and make sure that it's not going to blow off, and let it sit flat wrapped up until Monday, when we'll go ahead and carve it. Like these are starting to get dry because I used the thing, but yours won't be dry for a while unless you use a hair dryer. Some people don't even have hair dryers anymore. I think they're out of fashion. So you might just let it sit there and dry. It'll dry on its own. And in a half an hour or so, you come and check it, you know, set a timer like we always do, and then flip, right? It'll want to stick to the board at first. You might have to kind of coax it off with your fingers. So see how I kind of, I don't know if you can see from this side, but I kind of coax the edge and try not to warp the edge very much. I can flip it, press it flat again so that the top dries. The drywall is meant to wick the moisture out of it though, so if you leave it there, if you're patient, you'll have less warping and it will dry. I'm just not a very patient person. I want to do things like quick. But, okay. So do you guys have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. So that's all you have to do until Monday is just make 4 little tiles. I made 6. You only need 4. And get 3 to 5 coats of underglaze on them. Allow them to dry and then wrap them up while they're still in leather hard stage. So really the trick to all of this, besides rolling a good slab, is setting timers to remember when to come back when things are the right stage. And then on Monday we'll pick 4 of these squares to try to carve out, which is, the carving's kind of fun. I like it, but it does take practice. So that's it. If you don't have any questions, you are free to go, and check you later.